Hey guys, how it's going? And welcome back to a new crash course in microservices. In this crash course, we will learn different concepts such as publisher, consumer, channel, connections, exchange, as well as queue. And in this crash course, I will show you how to connect between different services together, and how to send data from one service to another. And this crash course will be using RabbitMQ as the exchange broker. Also, I want to mention about the differences between monolithic application and microservice application. So in monolithic application, for example, we have 3 services in the application. If one service goes down, then the whole application will go down. But on the other hand, in the RabbitMQ, if one service goes down, then it doesn't affect the other part of the application or the other services of the application at all. So that's the main difference between the normal applications and the microservices applications. And now let's deep dive. Alright, before getting into the coding part, first we will need to install Docker, because we will use this to spin up the RabbitMQ container. So to download this, let's just scroll down and click on the Get Started. So down here, we will need to download the Docker desktop. So if you are using Mac, you can also download for Mac, and there are the others as well, such as Linux. But for this one, I'm using Windows. I'll need to download this one. So once this done, I will need to install this one as usual. Alright, to check whether Docker has been installed, so you can open the command prompt and try to run Docker like that. And here you can see we get a list of commands that we can use, meaning that it has successfully been installed. And when you take a look here, this is the Docker that we installed as well. You can see that this is a list of container or app that I have right now. I will show you how to install the necessary one, which is the RabbitMQ, after this one here. Talking about RabbitMQ, so now let's take a look at what it is. So you can see that it's the most widely deployed open source message broker. So basically, a RabbitMQ, it is a message broker using queue, and there's a concept of channels. So each channel has a queue. So for example, if you want to send a data from one channel to another, then the data will be placed in a queue. I will also show you a diagram as well. So right here, you can see that we have the publisher, we have the consumer. So this is one service and this is another service. And the whole part here, this is the RabbitMQ. So basically, whenever that we want to send the data from the publisher, want to publish or send the message or the data, then it will goes to the exchange. And once that stay here, then it will go into the queue through the route. So the queue here, meaning that if you want to send one data to the exchange, then it will go through the route, and it just stay here. If there's a new data sent again, then it will just push one by one right here. So stay in a queue, and it will just send it to the consumer service. So that's the simple explanations of the RabbitMQ. And here, just take a look at another example. So you can see that this is again the publisher and this is the consumer, which has 3 services right here. So the user sent a message and it will go into the exchange. So for this one here, just use the binding that will goes into different queues. So this is one data or one message. Then if there's a new one, that it just stay behind this. The same for all of this, and then it goes into different services. And now let's take a look at another one. So you can see we have the publisher service and also consumer service 1 up until 4, right? Whenever that this service here want to send data, then it will go into the default exchange here, and then it goes into separate service depend on where it like to send to. And if you can see that if we have more than one data, then it will just stay in the queue and serve one by one. So once this one done, it will then this data or this message will then serve. So here you can see if one service goes down, it will not affect the other at all. So what exactly is the exchange? So basically what it does is that it will receive messages from these producers, and the other side, it will just push all of the messages into queues, as you can see here. And now that we understand how microservices work, the same for the RabbitMQ, where it exactly stay, then now we can get into the coding part. Okay, so inside the Visual Studio Code, I have an empty folder open. So it called Microservices. So inside this folder, I will need to create 2 new folders. So one called Publisher, and the other one, I will call it as Consumer, right? So inside the publisher or the service 1, or this is let's just imagine the consumer here is the service 2. So inside this publisher service, I will need to let's just try to open the terminal here. So now we need to navigate into the publisher folder. So inside the publisher, I will need to run this command. So npm init.y. We want to install a package.json here, right? So next, what we are going to install, we will need to install 2 libraries. So one will be npm i express, and the other one, which is the AMQP library. So inside this publisher folder here, I will need to create a new file. I'll call this as index.js. And now let's open the consumer folder here. So quickly try to open another one. For this one here, I will need to navigate to the consumer folder, right? So we have this one here, and this is another one, which is the consumer. So I will need to do the same thing. It will be npm init.y. Okay, so this package.json has also been installed, and now let's try to do the same command. It will be npm i express and the other library, which is amqp lib or library. Now let's install this as well. And what's next? We will need to do the same thing, which is creating a new file called index.js inside the consumer. So when you take a look here, you already see that it's different from normal Node.js application, right? Because right here we have 2 services inside the same folder called microservices. So we have 2 node modules. So one is in under the consumer, and the other one is under the publisher. So we have 2 Node.js applications, if you can think of it. So this is one and this is another one. Then we will need to connect these 2 together using the RabbitMQ, right? Okay, so now let's just close this one here, and now we start writing the code inside the index.js under the publisher. So we want to basically send the data from here to the consumer. So now let's start with this one here. I will need to navigate to the publisher for now. And now let's start importing the necessary library. So this will be express. The other one is AMQP require, and this will be AMQP lib. Let's just change this, and also the app equal to express. We want to use the express above here. And next will be app.use. We use the express URL encoded, extended to true. And next will be express.json. So basically these two lines of code, we will say, for example, I use the postman to send data from the publisher to the consumer using the post request. So these two lines will be required. And next I will create a function. So this is the async function. Let's just call this function as connect. And inside here I have the try catch block as well. So if there's an error here, then we want to console log the error. And inside this try block, I will need to write the AMQP server. So equal to AMQP. This will be localhost with the default port, which is 5672, right? And we will need to also run the container, but before that, let me quickly write all of the necessary code first. So this will then be the connection. So for this, we will need to declare the channel, and the other one will be connection, right? In the global scope here, you can see. So next, we will need to write the await, which is AMQP with the connect, and then we will need to pass the AMQP server right here. So next will be channel equal to await. This will be the connection up here, dot create channel. I will explain you the code line by line, but first let me try to quickly write out the code first. Next will be await channel assert queue. So this is the queue. We create this queue with the name called, let's just call it as rabbit. Yep, just this line of code for now. So let me quickly try to go through this again. So first we will need to provide a link, which is the AMQP with the localhost with the default port is 5672. I will need to run the RabbitMQ container as well using Docker. So next, let's take a look here. So this line of code here basically means that we try to create or make a new connection. So the TCP connection between this application here and the RabbitMQ, right? So basically we create a new connections, and next here is we are trying to make or create a new channel. It is a virtual connection inside a connection. So one connections can have multiple channel. So right here we only create one channel, and next one here, this is the channel.assert queue. Basically we want to create a new queue for that particular channel, so only for one channel. And to use this function, so down here we just need to call this function like that. And also down here I want to listening to the port, which define this as 5001, and this is the log that I will just say listening on port 5001, like so. Okay, so before running the RabbitMQ container on Docker, I will just need to quickly show you what a message show. So to run this file here, just need to write node index.js and see what it gave us. Okay, so here you can see that the listening on port, but then it failed to connect to the port, which is the 4567 coming from the RabbitMQ, right? So now we will need to spin up that container. So to do that, we will need to write docker run, and this is the port, which is 5672:5672. So this is the default port of RabbitMQ. So basically for this one, you can change anything, but this one, just keep it like that. And I will just, for now, use the same thing. And we just need to write the container name or the image right here. So it called RabbitMQ. So now let's just try to press enter. Okay, so it seems that it's running, and to make sure, you can go to the Docker application here, and here inside the container/apps, you can see that you see the RabbitMQ, it is running. You can also click on it as well, and here you can see all of the messages here. They are the same as the one that you can see inside this one right here, right? Also, I want to mention that if you haven't installed the RabbitMQ container yet, it will try to automatically install that for you. Alright, so next I'm going to do is to create a new one, which is navigating to the publisher, because this one here, the Docker is using it. Let me also put this on top. So this will be the publisher, and the other one here for the consumer. Alright, so for this here, let's try to run the file. It's called node index.js, and see if we get the message. Okay guys, so here you can see that it is now listening on port 5000 without any error, meaning that it is successfully connected to the RabbitMQ server. So one thing is that you can see the body parser here. It says that undefined extended. So here we need to change this from intended to extended. Okay, so now let's try to run this again. Alright, so now we get everything up and running. Alright, next I will try to create the app. Just use the get request for now. So it will be sent. So this is the endpoint, right? And then this is the async function. It will be request and response. And inside here, we just, for example, I want to send this object. So this will call name, which is Ruby, age 18. And then down here, let's try to use the channel variable that we declare globally. So this will be sent to queue, and the name of the queue, which is Rabbit. And next, this will be we're using the buffer, because we cannot send straight this one here, right? The object straight from the publisher to the consumer. So first we will need to convert it into the buffer here. So this will be JSON, stringify, and data. We first also need to convert it into the JSON, and then we use the buffer. Next will be channel.close, and the other one here is the connection.close. So one, this is sent to RabbitMQ. We want to close the channel, and also we want to close the connection as well. And for the connection here, so if you place this on top of the channel, then you will get an error. So the first thing that we will need to do is to first close the channel, then the connection afterward. And then I want to also send this to the screen as well. So let's just quickly say as done like that. And yep, let's just try this and see if it's working. Alright guys, so this is the URL, which is localhost 5001/send. Now let me try to enter this, and we can see that we get this error message. And why is that? Because we need to restart our server. So now listening on port 5001, let's try that again. Hit enter, and yep, that is working. So now we don't really know whether it is actually sent to the RabbitMQ yet, right? We don't know whether it's sent to the exchange, and then exchange just push it to the queue. So next, what I want to do, I will need to copy all of the code here from the publisher, which is index.js. And now let's come to the index.js under the consumer. I will paste all of the code here. So we just need to change a little bit of code. So instead of 5001, this one will be 5002. And we don't need this at all because we want to only receive the data coming from the publisher. So right here, we can just keep this. We have the URL, which is connecting to the RabbitMQ server. And we have the channel and assert here. This is the RabbitMQ. So below this one, I will need to write channel.consume because we want to consume the data, right? So this one here will be the queue name, call Rabbit, and then this will be the data that we're receiving the data from the publisher. So for this one here, I want to console log first to see whether we have the data, right? So now let's just try to save it and run the this one here, which is the consumer. So to run this, node index.js. Okay, so here you guys can see we have this one here. This is all of the objects and the content, which is the buffer that we are getting from the publisher, right? So we just need to basically convert the buffer into the normal data, which is the object that we send from the publisher here, which is the name Ruby and also the age 18. Okay, so to convert this, let me just comment this one out. We will need to let's just put this into a new variable called message. This will be json.parse data.content, as you can see here, because we have the content here, right? So this will be the content, and down here we want to console log the message like so. Let's try that again. Rerun the server. Okay, so now you can see we have the data that we want, which is the name Ruby and also the age, right? So one thing is that, let's say I try to go to the browser here and try to refresh this 2 more times. So 1. Okay, so now let's take a look at the publisher here. You can see that basically the channel has already closed, so we can't really refresh the page and get new data coming from the publisher, right? So to test this, I will need to comment out this one and try to restart the server again. And now let's try it. So this time I have already closed the connection, right? So I closed the channel and also the connection as well. Now let's just come back here again, and here you can see we have new data, which is C3 of the object here. So what happened here is that whenever that I try to also start the server again inside the consumer here, so when I press that, and here you can see we see these 3 objects every time. So now let me show you that again. Okay, we see the same 3 objects. And what happened if I try to refresh this again? Come back here, you can see we have 4, even though when I try to restart the server, this time we can still see 4. So that means it is an issue. It just send all of the data here and put it into the queue, but then it won't remove or try to dequeue this, right? So this is the issue. So to solve the problem here, there's actually another function. So it's called the act. So this will be channel.act. So this referring to the acknowledge the data once we receive the data. Otherwise, whenever we want to start the server, all the data keep showing up, right? So the same as you can see here, meaning that whenever that receive the data, we want to tell the RabbitMQ that, okay, I already acknowledge this message, so you can now dequeue this, meaning just like that. Okay, so to demonstrate that to you, let me just save that and try to restart the server again. And we can see there's an error. So what you're going to do, instead of using the message here, you will need to use the data, which is the data in the buffer, but not actually the object. So now let me try to restart this again. And here, this time you can see we receive all of the data coming from the queue. And now we already acknowledge the data. So when I try to restart this again, and this time, let's take a look. You can see that because we have already acknowledged all of the data in the queue, this time we won't see it anymore. So this is something that we have to use whenever that we receive the data coming from another service. In this case, this is the publisher. Alright, now that you can see, we have successfully make connections between these two services. So one is the publisher and the other one is the consumer. And we send the this object here from the publisher to the consumer using the RabbitMQ. And there's one thing is that right here you can see we use the get request, and whenever that we hit this endpoint here, then it just automatically send the data to the consumer. But the thing is that I want to, instead of using the get, I want to use the post and define the data by myself, whatever with the custom data using the postman, and I can just try to enter any data that I want. So to do that, under the get here, I will need to use app.post. This time I use the endpoint called post, and this also the async as well. So this one will be request, this is response, and inside here this will be data request.body, right? And this will be await channel.send to queue. So this will be to queue, and so this queue is called Rabbit, and the same thing, buffer from JSON.stringify, and this will be the data that we receive. For example, this case will be the postman, and we just want to send this. Let's just the same, call this as done, like that. Very simple. Now let's just see if this is working properly. Okay, so here inside the postman, I define the endpoint here, which is localhost 5001/post, and in the body here I select raw using the JSON format with the name and also age. Maybe I can just put another one down here. Let's just say grade. Let's just put it as 100, and right here don't forget the colon. And I want to send data from the publisher to the consumer. So now let me try to hit on the send button, and you can also see we're using the post request this time. So press on the send, and we receive 44 not found. That is because again we haven't restarted the server. So now let's restart the server, the 5001, Okay, listening. Try that again. Hit on the send button. And now we receive the done. And take a look again in the server here. Now you can see inside the consumer service listening on port 5000 with the object that received from the publisher, which is using this time the post request. And I can of course change this to whatever that I like. So this, let's just say Kelly age, let's just put 30 and try to send this. We received it done. Take a look again. So here we now receive this. And what happened when I try to restart this? Will we receive this queue again? No, not at all, because we have already been acknowledged that we have already read the message or received the message. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this crash course, guys. I think that I cover the basic concept of using the RabbitMQ and how microservices work. And you can see we have one service called publisher and another service called the consumer. So if one service is down, then it doesn't affect the other at all. So that is the benefit of using the microservice, and there's a lot more concept to cover, but for this is basically the foundations to the microservice. And I hope you learn a lot from this crash course. If you have any question, let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel to see the content similar to this one here. Until then, see you guys in the next video.